Dating after death of a spouse or divorce has a whole set of difficulties. And I'm here to help you not ignore them, but to go there and to think about them. And one of them is that the person you are dating may still be too inappropriately attached to their ex spouse. Now, maybe they don't even like their ex spouse, but there's still an attachment that's not healthy. And maybe they're trying to make up for guilt and they're bending over backwards. We'll get into that. But there's some kind of attachment, and you feel a little uneasy, maybe even triggered that is there room for me in this relationship, or are there always going to be three of us in this relationship? So let's talk about three things in this particular topic: the bonds that we have with a former spouse, whether living or dead, the needs that we have in relationships, and the signs that we can look for to see if something is out of balance. So, the first thing is bonds. When we marry somebody and now they're gone through death or divorce, we remember and still can feel the bonds that we had that were social bonds, romantic bonds, sexual bonds, legal bonds, financial bonds, social bonds, and the one bond that will last for all eternity, a parental bond. We will always be tied by that bond of being those kids' biological mom and dad. That will never end. All those other bonds will give way. All those other bonds are not meant to last forever, but they're important and they keep us attached to the other person, and rightly so. It's difficult for a lot of people after a death or divorce when they're feeling better and like they want to get back out there and find romance. They haven't really gone in and looked at the lingering attachments that they have from the bonds that were formed. And it requires an intentional decision to go into your own life with a good guide and with prayer and find out, do I have anything that's in the way of a healthy, holy new relationship? So let's talk about your needs, your integrity needs. Everybody has a need to have free will and to fit in and belong and be good and to feel good about themselves and to be accepted and have everybody else see and love them. We don't want to go into codependency where we're looking for everybody's approval, but those are normal, healthy bonds. You want to do the interior work, um, because you may still be hoping that your ex likes you, isn't mad at you, won't hurt you, won't send the lawyers after you anymore, won't keep the kids from you. And so, because of those needs for you to feel good and feel accepted and loved, you can be living in fear of your former spouse. Now, this isn't so much for the people who are widowed and widowers, but you might be dating somebody who went through divorce and has these issues. So really this is for everybody. What you want to do is you want to feel good after a divorce, especially that you weren't the bad guy. So maybe you're trying to get along with your ex, like everything is just fine and dandy, to just show yourself in the world that you weren't that big of a jerk, or it wasn't really your fault. Because look at me, I'm look how nice I am, after the divorce. Maybe it could be that you always saw yourself as lesser in the marriage, and they were more powerful or more intimidating, and they know how to rock your boat even after divorce. They're still yanking your chain. When you get one of my coaching clients was just explaining to me recently that when he walks into the room and his ex-spouse comes in, he feels his heart start to pound. It's not because he wants her, or he loves her, but he explained that most of the marriage, he felt like a little boy, and he handed over power to her, and she wore the pants in the relationship, and she was the dominant one, and he always felt kind of weak and powerless. Well, that went on in the marriage, and it's still going on after the marriage. He's gone through annulment, gone through all that stuff. Been several years, he's feeling good. He likes the new woman he's dating. But when he turns and looks at her, he sees his former spouse in the old way and goes into the old patterns of response and behavior that are probably not real good for the new relationship. So there's lots of dynamics, lots of leftover stuff, flotsam and jetsam after a plane crash of divorce. And you want to take the time to go in and do your own interior work and be observant of the other person that you're dating to see, are they always talking about their ex? Let's look at some signs. I wrote again my little list that I always write. Some signs that they might be still too inappropriately attached to an ex. Now, before I go there, let me just say, you need to love your ex-spouse. Everybody needs to love everybody. Doesn't mean you need to trust them, be with them, like them. Sometimes you have to avoid them. We can love an ex-spouse. An ex-spouse, we love them in that we will the greatest good for them, that we are kind and appropriately civil to them. And that's a whole nother issue. But I'm not saying don't love your ex-spouse, but let's go back to the signs where the attachment might be out of balance. When the ex calls, this is a true story. A couple was remarried and they had a couple kids, but the ex-spouse was still single and bitter and would call all the time and ask for favors from her ex-husband to come, put the Christmas lights up on the house and come move the refrigerator into the garage. And now, at first, that sounds like a warm, loving, natural, helpful thing to do. You would do that to your sister, you would help your friends, but there was manipulation and control behind this. And this is where you want to sit down and think, do I really need to be the one doing this? Can the person get somebody else more appropriate? I have a new life. I have a new family. It's not that I don't love you or care about you, but I can't keep putting my family, my current family, off for what you don't really need. And part of me would like to help you, but I have to balance that with the reality of my new life. It gets real sticky. This is something that you want to talk over with a good therapist or a good coach. But a lot of people still try to control their former spouse after the divorce by reaching out and asking for things. So you want to be very careful. How often is that? If it's once in a while, of course. If it's no big deal and doesn't cost that much, fine, fine, fine. Good, good, good. But look for patterns and habits and consistency that gets in the way. And if you're new, the new person that you're dating or married to is triggered by this, don't just say that's your problem. She's my ex and the mother of my child. You need to get over it. This is a sign for you to stop and think about what's going on and work through it. Most second and third marriages have high failure rates, primarily because of this kind of an issue. Not doing the work of getting rid of all the excess attachments and bonds that are lingering. Maybe maybe they again ask for money or ask for your time. Is it really appropriate? It may not be, but you and your spouse, the person that you're dating, talk about this, observe this. What's going on? Anyway, maybe the person is not just being super nice to their ex, maybe they're always in fights with their ex. Maybe they're in constant arguments, maybe even legal battles still. And maybe name calling and bitterness. That's a bond. That's an attachment. And that does not need to be there. It's sinful, it's not necessary, and it gets in the way of a new healthy marriage bond. So even if they're always talking about their ex, oh, she's this or he's this or whatever, that could be a red flag to you. They have a lot of unresolved issues and they may be a good person, but they may not be ready for remarriage. Maybe they do this. They talk on the phone for a long, long time, chitting and chatting and laughing and having a good time. Again, if people could get along with their ex-spouse, it's great, but at the right time and the right place and the right way. Nobody should be spending long conversations on the phone with their ex that aren't really necessary when it's taking away time from other responsibilities and perhaps a new spouse. So again, check your gut. What are you thinking? Are you triggered? Do you have a question about this? Don't be afraid to raise the conversation. One really bad thing is that they might be keeping secrets from you. So let's say you are dating a man or a woman who has a former spouse, and there's things going on, and you don't want to be intrusive and you don't want to get in the way, and you're being very loving and supportive of how they deal with their ex. But there's things going on that your new spouse or your boyfriend, girlfriend isn't telling you and keeping secrets. Again, that's usually because they feel caught in the middle and they got the ex over here, they got you over here, and they're trying to manage both. Run, Forrest, run. Again, not a bad person, just not ready for a healthy, holy, new relationship. Hasn't worked out all the stuff yet. So there's a lot to this. It doesn't mean they're still in love with the person. It doesn't mean a lot of things but if you're afraid, if you're triggered, please bring it up. Please have the courage. It's better to get in a fight and break up now before marriage than to marry two people, the one you're in love with and his or her ex-spouse. So call me if you need help. Rose@rosesweet.com is my email. Go to my website, CatholicMatch, and I will be producing more videos to help you through the navigating the pitfalls of dating after divorce or death of a spouse. It's not impossible. We're here to help you. Just stay alert, stay open, stay on your knees. I always say, stay in prayer and trust God, and everything will be okay. Hang in there. We'll talk to you next time.